of us, you know, as a people, and view of Africa, actually, okay? But Ingalls said that the movement was from savagery to barbarism to civilization, okay? And he believed in something called the inheritance of acquired characteristics. You got that? So that he said, this is a quote, mathematical axioms obvious to every 8-year-old child become difficult to teach to a quote-unquote Bushman or Australian Negro. This is written in the Dialectics of Nature, page 353, if you want to look for it. Basically, what I've been talking about, where I wanted to go, is giving you that evolutionary scheme. And so that you can see the full implications of, I'm ready to, yeah, of Diop's two-cradle theory. It's very important. I can click now? Okay.
Lights down.
Down? Are they down?
He's going to bring them down right now.
Okay. I don't want to... at any rate, what you can see so far, it says Cheikh Anta Diop, that's two-cradle theory, okay? Most people are familiar with this. Southern cradle being represented by Africa. He uses, this is what I believe. I was asking Dira about the word, the French word, that is used, that is translated cradle. And he says that it is the word that, you know, that it's the proper translation. Cradle. My belief is that it should be the womb. Why? Because Diop is talking about the environment which creates a particular way of thinking, way of being culturally. You see, and that's the womb. The cradle is kind of what holds the baby after the baby gets here. And I want to talk about the womb anywhere. Not here, but I just want you to know in terms of my work, that's where I'm going, is the womb is so important. As a model for our development, as a model for society, as a model, period. Okay, spiritually, all of that. But at any rate. So the cradle, he means that certain things come to be born in particular environments. Southern cradle, African. Northern cradle, European or Aryan. Right? Southern cradle is warmer. It's more conducive to agriculture. And he says that what that does is to then produce a culture that goes along with that. Northern cradle, whole. Now, we really need to, barren is very important because Europe is small and doesn't have anything, y'all.
That's right. Yes.
Diop talks about that too. I wish I could get to that. I might skip after I do this. Let me just do this quickly. So if we look at cultural aspects, this is my work taken from Cultural Unity. I think that's where he puts this forth, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's look and see what happens on each, the environment. That's key for Diop. For me, the differences between us and them, it cannot be accounted for simply in terms of environment. That's my view. Okay? In other words, I think you could get a different kind of people in the similar environment and it wouldn't have been quite the same as them. A little bit more going on there. But you know, I ain't mad at him. just want to show you how, what are the things that go into our thinking so that we can debate that. We can talk about that. Not debate, but dialogue. So here you have, it's fertile, okay? Sun-filled. Over here, the harsh, cold, and barren. You all can see that. You all here cannot see this with all this work I've done. You got to remember, Kwajo. I want you to remember all of this so you can teach it to the others, okay? What does it say over there? Oh, sun deprived. That's very important, right? So the predominant means of survival, which is what I think Morgan meant by the arts of whatever. You got agriculture here. Let me get out of the way. And over here you have hunting. Now what does that mean? What does that do to a mentality of people with that's all they can do? Okay? Think about it. And that's what he does. More settled. He says that's important for the development of civilization. Nomadic. Okay? It had to be. Of necessity. And remember, we can have hunting, we can have the moving around, but when it's exclusively that prevents other stuff, then how does it affect the people within the culture? Okay, family system. Now, I put that in quotes, matriarchal, because Diop was not talking about the rule of women. He was talking about the value of the role of women in society. He was talking about the mother, what it means to mother, how that was valued among African people. Okay? How that becomes a focal point over here, patriarchal, where you do mean, okay? It's not the opposite in that sense. You do mean rule. And then he goes into that, which we don't have time to hear. He goes into specifically what that meant in terms of relationship between males and females, and how women were treated, and how there were there's evidence of female infanticide, the killing of girl children, babies, okay, because they were of no value. Children generally were not of much value, but if their ego wanted the group to go on, then they needed to have at least a child, right? Got it? Okay, so the descent system here is matrilineal, over here is patrilineal, which means that's how you pass on what is the wealth of the group. Here we have balance and complementarity. Now, one of the things that's important here is that this he sees as the source of African culture, African civilization, right? I call this us in Ma'at. What we have to understand is that as we kind of lose a sense of our history, well, no, we have to regain it. So it's like, we haven't had it, period, right? And we have a leadership which follows Europe. All of this becomes different. Do you hear what I'm saying, y'all? Yes. So that we adopt this over here. And if you go to Africa now, you're going to find a lot of that. Okay? So we're not romanticizing, but we are looking at kind of a baseline of what was our source. The role of women was essential here. It's still essential. Non-essential. For the group's survival and for the stabilization of the society. Sacred motherhood. Children are valued. See all these things? Over here. Am I giving you enough time? You can put these down if you want to. This is relationship to ancestors, burial, over here cremation. Not cremation as we may do now because we want remains to go back to the continent. This is cremation because, anybody know the reason? Yes. Oh, Sam, yeah. Some more. Huh?
The ox cart had was the
Say it louder.
The ox cart was the conveyor of the family across the steppe. So you kept your ancestors with you.
You didn't have land. Like, you know, land is very important for us, and the land becomes sacred because the ancestors are buried in it, y'all. Right. So think about what it must have meant for us to have been ripped away from that. Okay? Means of relating to strangers, this you know. This is a problem. Xenophilic, what does that mean? We're open to strangers and stuff. Problem, y'all. Problem. We didn't really understand who they were, or we would not have so openly, you know. And then worldviews, behavior, and so forth. Again, this for us becomes ma'at. This becomes the ideal, interdependence, communalism, and so forth and so on. And over here, okay, the land is sacred. Here, fire becomes sacred. Now, what has Job done? What has he done by doing this? I just talked about Morgan, which is how European social scientific thought goes. Anybody?
Dismantle their concept and their lives.
Do you see how he dismantled them, though? They say there's only one way of developing. They make it unilinear, and then they put their value thing at the top of it, and it is hierarchical. Job is saying no. Another thing, look at the significance of matrilineality and the matriarchal structure and so forth. Okay? It is very important to African life. It's like, that's how we choose to be. That's what we want. That's a good thing. If anything, it's an advanced form. Okay? Whereas Bachofen, Engels, Morgan, all of those people said that it represents savagery, that everybody had that when they're savages, but that you grow up and you move out of that. And you know that you got to become patrilineal and patriarchal and so forth. Do you see what he did?
Yes.
Okay, I need lights, because what I'm going to try to do... Lights, please. Okay, good. All right, so this is critical in terms of the impact of his work, in terms of the two-cradle theory, all right? The role of matrilineality or mother focus. Look at Ahmad Dioume's work, African Matriarchal Foundations. The sister is powerful in that work. Okay? So that's very important for us to see that, what is fundamental for us and how important it is. Job is moving in this towards a view that there is a fundamental difference